Hello, Walnut Grove Sound Techs. This is Brett, and this is a video about our new sound booth, and specifically we're going to focus on the ceiling speakers because they are definitely more powerful than they've ever been before, but more complicated too, so we have to give a rundown of that. So, new sound booth down here. The board's all ready to go. This is the equipment that runs the ceiling speakers. There's a processor sitting on top. I'd love to show you guys individually whenever you'd like what goes on inside of that. That has 4 audio ins and 4 audio outs, and you can do anything inside of that thing. You just log on externally with a laptop, and you can drag and drop compressors and EQs and mixers and all sorts of things to decide what this box does to the sound. But the 4 outs from it go to the amplifier that's right underneath it, and that is a 4-zone amp that hits ceiling speakers. Channel 1 is all the normal Sunday morning stuff. That includes the foyer, bathrooms, kitchen, backstage, and the foyer in front of the offices as well. So that new entrance is also on zone 1 from this amp. Channel 2 is everything else on the main floor, so inside the offices and other areas outside the chapel, outside the bathrooms, but we don't generally use those on a Sunday morning. And then the 3rd zone is stairwells and upstairs, and the 4th zone is downstairs. So all those are being fed by this. This should be powered on all the time with all those gain knobs straight up at -10. So you shouldn't have to touch this at all. This is what happens on the board though. I'm using 3 different auxes on this board to control ceiling speakers. To look at aux masters again, you're on the 3rd layer, and that's where I can see all the aux masters. 5, 6, and 7 or our mixes that go to ceiling speakers, and they happen to be physically 5, 6, and 7 out on the back of the board too. That's just a coincidence, that's just the way it worked out. But 5, 6, and 7 are all for ceiling speakers. So if you don't want anything out of ceiling speakers, go to the 3rd layer and mute 5, 6, and 7, and all is good. No sound will come out of ceiling speakers. Once you want sound out of ceiling speakers, let me show you what these 3 do. The foyer mix only goes to zone 1, the foyer zone, and it is delayed just long enough to line up with the sound coming from the main PA. So it's delayed like 90 feet, 80 something milliseconds. And what I've put on that is everything that's in the band. All singers, all instruments. This is a post fader mix, so this mix will change as you change the faders. So as long as I've got everything up at unity here, it will follow, it will track your main mix. And if I look at the 2nd layer, I've got the background music, CD sound that's from the computer down here, or will be as soon as the computer's down here, but nothing else on this layer. Oh, effects. Effects, but that's all. This 2nd mix, in the 0 scene, I have assigned all speech things, so 2 handhelds and 2 head warns, and the iMac channels. What is special about this mix 6 also goes only to the foyer speakers, so this and this go to the foyer speakers. This is for things that are only delayed to line up with the sound coming out in the room. This foyer delay is delayed a lot in the processor. It is delayed 1285 milliseconds, that's over a second, and that is to line up with video. So the plan, if all goes well, is that the band won't be in sync with the video that you can see on screen if you could see singers' mouths moving, but it will sound coherent with what's happening in the big room. This is for sermon time and for videos playing, so that picture is in line with the sound people are hearing. So we're mixing delayed and not delayed sounds. So hopefully people have the best experience during the songs and during speech or video watching on the screens. So this is a really tricky balance. Ideally, all the TV volumes are down now all the time. We should ask people to turn down all the TV speakers, all the TVs. And these two different mixes that are sending different things will collectively make what comes out of the foyer speakers. This should stay muted for our purposes. This mix has no delays at all on it, but it's sending to the whole building. So that'll be for a youth event where we want music on all 3 floors in all the hallways. This is for an announcement going throughout the whole building. This goes to all 4 zones of the amp. So 5 and 6 should be unmuted with channels assigned as we have them, and this should stay muted. This is for special events only and for youth events where you want to build a mix that goes around the whole building. So that's how these 3 work. Let me know if you have any questions, and we're going to definitely have to tweak this as we go along. I can make lots of changes inside the processor to keep levels more consistent and tweak the EQ with the ceiling speakers. But yeah, navigating this area is something really important to know. That might be when Sends on Fader is off, just going to the 3rd layer and noticing which mixes are unmuted and muted, because these 2 go to the foyer and this goes all throughout the building. But if you ever wanted to change the mix from what it's set at for the 000 scene, you pick your mix, you say Sends on Fader, and now I'm looking at the post fader sends of the band and no speech. And then if I change over to the delayed mix, none of those band channels are going, but the speech channels are going. There's one other fun mix that I want to tell you about. The ClearComm system has a program sound in that can play in people's headsets. So I can go over to that, and you'll see that I have put in all the band channels and all the other channels, including, on purpose, a bit of click track that's going to have vocal cues in it as well, and the MD channel. The MD channel is the vocal mic that comes on when the worship leader pushes down on that pedal and is talking only to the band. If we set this right, that should mean that anyone on ClearComm, camera operator, media tech, and sound tech, if you happen to be listening at the same time, you would hear an announcement to the band made on the fly. It'll come through your headset. So that's a pretty cool feature that we never had before. There's also a new strip to the mix. This is another thing that comes from ClearComm. This is a ClearComm announce button that can only happen from the MediaTek position. It comes from the main station, the main brain of the whole ClearComm system. So from there, they can push the special stage announce button, and this channel will go straight to people's in-ears if we set it. So to do that, this is going to be assigned to the talkback mix, along with the MD mic and the talkback mic itself, all the things that we send to that talkback mix. So this comes to Aviom 16. This is mix 8 on here. It goes to Aviom 16, and that's how musicians are currently hearing the talkback from us. It's how they're hearing the MD mic when the worship leader pushes down on the pedal. It also bleeds a bit of video signal and a bit of all the handhelds and head-worn mics, so that the band has some of that stuff in their mix. So to that blend, we're adding this special ClearComm announce mic. So the MediaTek could make a talkback announcement directly from upstairs. I don't know how often we'll use that, but it's an output that exists on the main station for the ClearComm. So I'm wiring it up right away, and we can test that and see how it works for us. So that is the ceiling speaker system and all the stuff that's changed on this board. So the long and the short of it is I need everyone to recall from scene 0. Because I've made all these routing changes that wouldn't apply to whatever scenes you had saved before. To enforce that, there are no other scenes. I had to do that. I'm very sorry, but there's just so much changing that has happened to how outputs are physically routed and inputs are physically routed. Enough changes that we had to start at square one. So we're at scene 000. That is the board.